In the latest incident, a man blew himself up after being denied entrance to a music festival in Bavaria. Police say the 27-year-old was a Syrian who had been refused asylum in Germany. 12 people were hurt when the man's bomb went off. The prosecutors say it's not clear whether he intentionally killed other people or was just carrying out a planned suicide. And another Syrian seeking asylum, in Germany, has been arrested for murder after allegedly attacking a woman with a machete. Police say it appears the attack was the result of an argument and is not linked to terrorism. And we're learning some new details about the man who went on a shooting rampage in Munich, leaving 9 people dead. Police say the 18-year-old gunman had been planning the attack for more than a year. They also say he suffered from a range of mental issues. The victims were remembered last night at a vigil near the shopping mall where the attack
in Arizona, 4 people were killed when a Dallas Cowboys bus collided with a van. Everyone in the van was killed, including 2 teenagers. Authorities say the van was making an illegal left turn when it crashed into the bus. No football players.
To the breaking news overseas, a deadly attack at a French church. 2 men taking hostage, killing a priest before they were taken down. ABC's Lama Hassan has the latest. Good morning, Lama.
And good morning to you, Robin. Yeah, dramatic developments unfolding this morning. Here's what we know at this hour. 2 men armed with knives entered a church near Rouen, 85 miles from Paris, shortly before 10 a.m. local time, just as the priest was celebrating morning mass, taking 5 people hostage, among them a priest and 2 nuns. Police confirming to us the attackers killed the priest and critically injured another hostage. Police rushed to the scene, reports of shots ringing out before the incident ended, with the 2 attackers killed. There is no claim of responsibility and no motive yet, but the Paris prosecutor's office has opened a terrorism investigation. The French president and
police in Japan are apologizing for not acting on warning signs ahead of a deadly attack on a home for the handicapped. They say a man who used to work at the facility entered through a broken window and started stabbing people. At least 19 people were killed, making it one of Japan's worst mass killings since World War II. The suspect turned himself in about 2 hours later. There are reports now that he was upset about being fired in February. Now, months before that, he had sent his attack plan in a letter to Japanese
just
lawmakers.
After midnight Monday in this parking lot of the Club Blue in Fort Myers, Florida. A special party for underage teens had just come to an end, and many of the kids were waiting for their parents to pick them up. Neighbors are still trying to make sense of what happened. Juan Santibáñez was close by. He said he recently moved here from Houston, Texas, hoping Fort Myers would be less violent.
When I had pulled up, I was barely walking, and all of a sudden you just hear like some automatic weapons go off, and you just hear like 15 shots back to back, another 15, and all of a sudden you just see a whole bunch of kids just running through the bags. Some were shot and everything, and it was just a tragic event.
I was scared. I hit the floor, and then at that, bullets ain't got no name. I got 2 little girls, so just imagine if one of them would have hit the window.
Police tried to calm an anxious public while keeping most details to themselves.
This was not an act of terror. This was not a terrorist act. We have 3 persons of interest in custody. I'm not going to go into that, who they are, and we're still looking for others.
Police identified the victims killed as 18-year-old high schooler Stefan Strotter, a star basketball player, and 14-year-old Sean Archiles. Injuries range from minor to life-threatening. 2 of the wounded remain hospitalized in critical condition. Most of the injured were treated and released. The youngest victim, just 12 years old. Authorities are asking the community and the young witnesses to come forward with information. Fort Myers' violent crime rate is twice the national average. This latest act of violence has the state of Florida on edge just 6 weeks after 49 people were gunned down at an Orlando nightclub, the worst mass shooting in U.S. history. Mitza Soledad Perez, CCTV, Fort Myers, Florida.
German police say a machete attack in the city of Reutlingen by a man that left a woman dead did not bear the hallmarks of a terrorist attack. Police have arrested the suspect, identified as a 21-year-old Syrian refugee, and 2 people were also wounded in the incident. Thousands, including opposition supporters, hold a protest in Istanbul to denounce the recent failed coup in Turkey. Top opposition leaders attended the rally in Taksim Square. The CHP, Turkey's largest opposition party, said all 133 of its members in parliament were due to attend the rally. Hundreds of American Muslims have rallied in Washington, D.C. to condemn terrorist attacks attributed to Islam and Islamophobia in the U.S. A wave of anti-Muslim propaganda was unleashed across the U.S. after an attack on a club in Orlando, Florida, left 49 people dead last month. Israel has set up concrete roadblocks at the entrances of villages around the West Bank city of Bethlehem, imposing severe restrictions on the movement of Palestinians. Tel Aviv says the measure is in response to an alleged attack on an Israeli vehicle last Thursday. At least 8 people have been killed and over 20 others wounded when terrorists fired rockets at government-controlled parts of the Syrian capital, Damascus. Rockets were reportedly fired from terrorist positions on the outskirts of the city and struck several neighborhoods in the city center. Yemeni forces have launched retaliatory attacks against Saudi Arabia, killing 7 Saudi soldiers in the kingdoms Asir and Najran and in Yemen's Taiz. Since Saturday, at least 10 Yemeni civilians were also killed in the latest Saudi airstrikes in Taiz. A funeral has been held for victims of twin bomb blasts that hit the Afghan capital on Saturday. 83 people were killed and hundreds wounded in the blast that hit a crowd of Shia Hazara protesters. President Ashraf Ghani declared a national day of mourning after the Kabul attack. Iranian Foreign Ministry spokesman Bahram Qasemi strongly criticized a terrorist bombing in the Iraqi capital Baghdad. Qasemi expressed Iran's sympathy with the government and people of Iraq, particularly of victims' families. The blast targeted a security checkpoint, killing at least 17 people and wounding 20 others.
The police brutality against African Americans in the U.S. has triggered protests and reactions from many countries. In Iran, human rights activists and thinkers have come together to discuss the U.S. record on human rights with a focus on the latest abuses against black people.
The United States Declaration of Independence reads that all human beings are equal. The irony is that the very people that voted in favor of independence had black slaves. Today, we see police brutality taking place against African Americans, and officers get away with it.
In 2015, the Washington Post launched a real-time database to track fatal police shootings, and the project continues until today. The U.S. Daily says more than 1,500 people have been shot and killed by police officers since the beginning of 2015. 24% of the victims are African Americans.
One important issue is that nowhere in the world can you witness this extent of violence on the part of police officers. Many call America the police state. This is a disaster for Americans.
Activists say Washington's rights violation does not end here. They say the U.S. has turned a blind eye to so many atrocities committed outside America, particularly in the Middle East, by its closest allies. The U.S. portrays itself as a defender of human rights across the globe. However, some political analysts believe that it is using the issue as a tool to exert pressure on other countries, while closing its eyes on rights violations of itself and its allies, including Saudi Arabia and Israel. Yusuf Jalali,
جد بلاش تدخل لك قنبله انا بصور انت ما كره عشان نحن الخيم بنين لك الباتين لكن باين مرسيم لنا زي كله بس 240 سنه نحن بنين